ever click buy online and just wonder what happens next? I mean, really, what happens? Today, we're going to follow the incredible journey of just one single sale. We'll see how it travels from the shop floor all the way up to the CEO's desk in a massive company.
I mean, think about it. How does the CEO of some huge corporation really know what's going on way down on the ground floor? How can one person possibly keep track of millions of transactions every single day? It seems impossible, right?
Well, believe it or not, it all boils down to one single piece of information. And today we're going to follow that one piece of data on its journey, from the sales counter all the way to the boardroom. And in doing that, we're going to see how a modern organization, well, how it actually thinks.
Okay, so to really get this journey, we first need to peek inside what I like to call the company's digital brain. So, this digital brain, it has a formal name, an information system. But here's the thing, it's not just about computers and code. Not at all. It's way more than that. You got to think of it like a whole ecosystem. You've got people, rules, software, hardware, data, and they're all working together.
Let's break that down real quick. There are 6 essential parts to this thing. First, you've got the people, right? The actual users who make it all happen. Then come the procedures. Think of them as the rules of the road. The software, well, that's the brains. It gives the instructions. And the hardware, the physical computers and servers. That's the muscle that carries out the instructions. Data is the raw fuel, the information itself. And finally, the internet is the nervous system connecting it all. Every single part is absolutely crucial. If one piece fails, the whole thing can start to fall apart.
Okay, so now that we have that framework in our heads, let's see how this system actually works in the real world. We're going to zoom in and capture a single, everyday piece of business.
All right, so our story kicks off right here at the VD Group of companies. They're a huge furniture manufacturer. And a customer, let's call her Jane, why not? She just ordered one single chair. That's it. That's our tiny piece of information. And with that, the journey begins.
So the very first place Jane's order lands is in something called the Transaction Processing System, or TPS for short. I like to think of the TPS as the company's digital scribe. Its only job is to sit there and record every single little transaction that happens, day in and day out. And this is so important because literally every other system we're going to talk about is built on the foundation of the data that this TPS gathers. So where does Jane's chair order fit into all this? Well, it gets logged into the accounting TPS under sales order processing. And boom, that one little entry kicks off a whole chain reaction. The warehouse gets an alert to ship the chair. The accounts receivable department starts tracking Jane's payment. This right here, this is the very first digital footprint of our single sale. And who needs this kind of super detailed up-to-the-second data? The supervisors, right? They're the ones on the front lines, managing the day-to-day chaos. They have to know exactly what's happening right now just to keep the factory floor humming along. All right, so the supervisors have their raw data. They're happy. But what about the managers? The ones who need to see the bigger picture? Well, that's where things get interesting. Let's see how all that raw data gets transformed into something actually useful. Reports. Jane's little chair order, it doesn't stay an individual thing for very long. Pretty quickly, it gets bundled up, aggregated with thousands, maybe tens of thousands of other sales. And just like that, it's not Jane's order anymore. It's just one tiny, single line item in a giant weekly sales report. And the system that does all this bundling and summarizing, that's the Management Information System, or MIS. Its entire reason for existing is to take all that messy, detailed data from the TPS and distill it down into clean, easy-to-read reports for the middle managers, the folks who need that broader view of what's actually going on. Okay, so here's the key difference, and it's a big one. The TPS creates the database. It's the recorder, logging every single raw fact. The MIS, on the other hand, uses that database to summarize all those facts. So you've got one system handling the day-to-day chaos and another giving managers the tools they need for control and planning. And these MIS reports, they come in a few main flavors. You've got your standard periodic reports, that's like our weekly sales summary. Then you have exception reports, which are awesome because they automatically flag anything that looks weird or out of the ordinary. And finally, you have demand reports, which, just like they sound, are only created when a manager specifically asks for a certain slice of data. So these MIS reports are fantastic for understanding what's already happened. It's all about looking in the rearview mirror. But what if managers need to look into the future? What if they need to ask bigger, more complex questions? Well, that's where we level up. Imagine a middle manager, they're looking at their sales reports and they start to wonder, what would happen to our sales if there was a strike? Now that is a tricky, totally unstructured question. A standard MIS report? No way. It has absolutely no idea how to answer that.
To tackle a question like that, you need a whole different kind of tool, a decision support system, or DSS. Think of this as the company's super smart analyst. It's a flexible, powerful tool that lets managers play out these complex what-if scenarios. And the cool part is, it does this by blending the company's internal data, like all our sales history, with external data, like news reports about potential labor issues.
So here's the simplest way to think about it. An MIS looks backward. It answers the question, what happened? A DSS looks forward. It helps answer the question, what if? Instead of those fixed, backward-looking reports, it's like a sandbox where managers can model all sorts of different possible futures. Okay, so our little piece of information born from one chair sale has traveled all the way from the factory floor to the middle manager's office. But it's not done yet. Now it's time to take it all the way to the top, to the boardroom. Let's see what the view is like from up there. Right at the peak of our information pyramid, we find the Executive Support System, or ESS. Now, this system is all about two things, simplicity and speed. Its whole job is to present information in a super summarized, usually very graphical way, because it's designed for top-level executives who don't have time for the nitty-gritty. They're making big, long-term strategic plans.
So let's be clear, the CEO of the Vidi Group, they are not looking at Jane's individual chair sale. No way. What they're looking at is a high-level dashboard, and with just a single glance, they see total sales, overall profit margins, major market trends. All the crazy complexity of our entire journey has been boiled down to just a handful of key numbers, the exact numbers they need to make those huge, big picture decisions.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of different systems here, so let's just take one final moment to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and see how it all fits. And here it is. This is how it all stacks up. At the very bottom, at the foundation, you have the supervisors. They're dealing with day-to-day operational stuff, and their tool is the TPS. Move up a level, and you've got the middle managers. They're all about tactical planning using the MIS and the DSS. And then at the very top of the pyramid, you have the top managers, focused on long-term strategy, and they're using the ESS. And the most important part? Each level is completely dependent on the data from the level below it. Our single chair sale, it literally fed this entire pyramid of information. So the next time you buy something, anything at all, just take a second and think about that incredible journey. From a simple click, a simple transaction, all the way up the chain to a major strategic decision. And then maybe turn that lens on your own world, your own job, your community. Ask yourself, where does the information flow and who does it really empower?